I'm a preacher's kid. Was raised in a Christian home, great Christian home. My dad's still a preacher. Came to know Christ when I was 7 years old, and grew very quickly from there, and learned and was reading my Bible and praying and spending time with God. But it wasn't that powerful, because my dad pastored some powerful churches. I experienced God at church then, but never just me. And I knew my dad walked with God, but and had a really intimate relationship with God, but I didn't. Like a typical preacher's kid, puberty hit, and I kind of took some alternate routes, and went that way for a few years, and reached a really kind of dark place where I was suicidal, a drug addict, and agnostic. Didn't really care if God existed. Kind of turned my back on my family. And so I had to kind of come to some grips. Okay, if drug addiction's going to kill me, then I have to live my life apart from acid. So what's that look like? And I really couldn't imagine my whole life without drugs. And so I says, okay, what's the alternative? And the only thing that was there was God. And God in a very basic sense. I was cool with God, wasn't so sure about this Jesus fella. He wasn't the uber spiritual one, but God was okay. And after praying and trying to put it all back together, I became okay with Jesus and as God's redemption of me. And so after a little while, okay, I can deal with Jesus, but no church. I'll never go to church again the rest of my life. I saw in reading in Scripture and then reading biographies of great Christians and stuff like that, that these men and the disciples and people like that, even after Jesus ascended back into heaven, had a relationship with God that I didn't have. Now, I was a Christ follower, but they connected with God in a way that I wasn't. And I wanted that. That would bring me life. And that would bring me joy and peace that I needed to survive. Late into the night, I would be reading my Bible and praying and begging God that I wanted a relationship with His power on me, that had more than just a intellectual knowledge of God or of Scripture, because I knew Scripture, but wanted to experience God and know His presence on my own. So I began pursuing God that way and saying, God, I need you to be real. I need you to be very powerful in my life. I didn't just want to be nominal. I didn't want to have the average walk I saw of Christians in churches. I wanted something much more powerful. And Scripture showed that people had that. And so many verses, draw near to God and He will draw near to you. Follow hard after God. All these passages of Scripture said that God's there and wants to connect with us. Turned a corner somewhere there. It wasn't an overnight thing. It was just all of a sudden when I would go to pray, I knew that God was there. And it's not like He, shook the room or bolts of lightning, but it was just more of His hand on my back or on my shoulder, saying, I'm here, but not with words, much louder than words, just his presence. If I hadn't learned then how to wrestle with God or wrestle myself out of the way, I wouldn't find it so easy now to spend a few minutes alone with God to get refreshed and to sense his power and to sense his presence in a real way, not just in, oh, I'm reading my Bible. And now it's God's there. And just spending a few minutes alone with him, he's there. The Father is there. And I know his blessing.